Worst game in the entire Monster Hunter series. No, I will not elaborate. Go heart yourself, Capcom. You know what you did? Well, you know what you did? You're gonna have to be a little more specific, my guy. From mostly positive to overwhelmingly negative, Monster Hunter Wilds has seemingly taken the gaming world by shitstorm. But how did things get this bad? When you read the many negative reviews, it's pretty easy to spot a pattern. The same complaints show up again and again, and not without justification, mind you. But I think there's more to it than that. A bigger picture that a lot of people might be missing. So today we're going to take a look at the devil in the details. But first, we're going to have to study the reviews together. Now, as we go through them, I want you to pay close attention to the points you agree with and maybe even the ones you don't. Starting with our first review here. Love the game, honestly, but only when it works. With every update, they seem to break a portion of the community's ability to play it. From insta crashes to stuttering issues to massively high CPU GPU spikes, every update breaks something for a decent sized portion of the player base. Of all of the games I've played, this is the only one that continually breaks. As someone who is still salty about Dragon's Dogma 2, I am not a fan of performance issues. This person has a really important point. It doesn't matter how good this game is in theory, you can't play it on PC until these clowns hire some actual programmers to port it correctly. It's hard to appreciate a game for what it is if it barely runs in the first place. Poor performance will enhance your bad experiences and ruin your good ones, which really is a goddamn shame. But we'll talk more about that soon. Let's keep reading. Unbalanced. Monster Hunter Rise is better. Whoa. Okay, moving on. So we've established that performance is dog shit. What about other aspects of the actual game? What do people say about that? After playing this game for way too long and unlocking every achievement, I have come to realize that I experienced a lot of frustration and little fun. Very few monsters gave me trouble and very few fights gave me a sense of accomplishment when I beat them. Most of the time I was happy that it was finally over and I could move on to the next one. Now, difficulty is subjective, but there are many people that feel this game is just way too easy, especially when compared to something like World. Okay, last couple of reviews and then we're going to make some deeper sense of it all. You only get about 80 hours or so of content compared to the hundreds you'd get in other Monster Hunters. Just play one of the previous titles if you're looking to get into the franchise. And the final review that truly sums up the community sentiment right now. This game is a complete dumpster fire and deserves all the negativity directed towards it. I've had this Steam account for 7 years and have never posted a review, but this rotting pile of filth truly deserves one. Now, when we piece all of these reviews together, the pattern becomes very clear. Disgusting optimization, a lack of challenge or accomplishment, a severe absence of content, and simply not living up to the expectations we've come to have for this series. And I agree with a lot of those criticisms. We'll talk more about that very soon. But first, there's one last thing I need to tell you. Every single review we read today wasn't written about Monster Hunter Wilds. They were all written about Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter World received the exact same points of criticism we now see for Wilds, with many players criticizing a lack of difficulty, constant network issues, awful optimization that took a very long time to patch out, as well as a severely lacking to non-existent endgame loop. This is uncannily similar to the complaints we now see today for Monster Hunter Wilds, to the point where it is downright eerie. Now, this is absolutely not to say that your criticisms are not valid. The biggest one, in my opinion, is optimization. Like I said, even if you don't like this game, it is very hard to even try to appreciate it for what it is if you can barely play the f***ing thing. And I do ask myself, of the 10 million people that purchased this game, how many of them can actually play it comfortably, if at all? The second criticism I personally most agree with is the lack of friction does suck. I would love a little more reason to actually explore this amazing world that they built, and not just Uber-rooster it straight to the monster I pinged on my Google fucking Maps. Now, personally, I think the difficulty and amount of content is fine. It's very in line with what we got in World, and they really do seem to be taking their steps in the right direction. But that's just my opinion. Now, I think it's extremely important to have criticism of this game, but I do see us repeating a little bit of history here, being pretty quick to compare this game to World, as if World was and always has been the gold standard of Monster Hunter. The very same way we used to compare World to older games upon its release, feeling that World was a step back for the series and fearing that it was moving further away from its roots. And we were right, it was moving further away from its roots. Branching out, if you want to stick to the tree analogy. And while I personally prefer old school Monster Hunter as it was pre-World, I think most of us can agree that World turned out to be a fucking amazing game, worthy of all the praise that it gets. And if you feel strongly about Wilds, I'm actually with you. But I would encourage that we as a community take a little step back and ask ourselves, what part of our criticism is truly genuine, and what part may be influenced by something else entirely? But I'm not here to convince you to kiss the ass of Monster Hunter Wilds. But there is a point where it no longer becomes about hating the game, but hating the players. And this is the most damning thing of all. When you begin seeking out positivity for Wilds only to try and shit on the person having fun with the game, this kind of antisocial dipshit behavior is a bigger problem than the flaws of the game itself. Now I get it, it's the internet. People are going to do internet things. I was once 13 years old too, believe it or not. But I think there's a very clear line between someone who criticizes the game, even harshly, and somebody who does stupid shit like this. These two things are not the same, and don't gaslight yourself into thinking they are. Now just two more things I want to touch on. One of them being a recent turn of events I only found out about while editing this video. We'll begin with the much less serious one, a timeline of Monster Hunter content updates. I've seen a lot of people try to use this image to make Wilds updates look bad in comparison, but that argument, in my humble opinion, is silly. What do we have here? About 1 million collabs, 3 of them being Street Fighter collabs, all of which combined don't hold a fucking candle to the quality we saw in Wilds. We had to wait 2 months for the first title update, which only introduced one new monster. But even though he was kind of easy in my opinion, he also is my favorite monster, so that's pretty cool. Title update 2 was Colv, introducing a whole new siege monster mechanic, which was really cool. I want to see something like that in Wilds, that'd be awesome. And title update 3... we don't fucking talk about title update 3. This monster was Capcom's band-aid answer to the many complaints about difficulty. So if you're struggling with Steve or Chris, let's be grateful they're not fucking Lunastra. Also, here's the updated version post-title update 2 if you're interested. Thank you Shinkrai for making this, it's pretty cool. But while I was making this video, I overheard some news about personal threats being made against the devs of this game. Not just criticizing the game or leaving bad reviews, but actual threats of physical harm and harassment in that weird magical place known as real life. If somebody is doing this shit, that is no longer a part of criticizing the game. That is a completely different matter in and of itself. If you're listening to this, don't be tricked into thinking this is about some fucking Steam review criticism bullshit. And if you're one of the journalists / content creators propagating this bullshit by knowingly spreading misinformation, tricking people into thinking this is just about a video game review bombing, then kindly go fuck yourself. No matter what the reviews for this game are right now, I think we should be able to agree on one thing. We don't have to be overwhelmingly negative to each other. I spent about 10 seconds of my life writing that one. Please like and subscribe. But seriously, there's been so much negativity surrounding this game that it has gone beyond simply not liking the game or wanting it to be better. It is a fruitless and moronic endeavor to dive into a positive space with the intent to let people know how much you hate the game, or to angrily try and invalidate someone's opinion who's simply sharing their criticism in a healthy manner. But I think most of us here have a very deep love for Monster Hunter, and we really don't want to see this game make the wrong moves and go down the shitter. But you know what? I genuinely think we're going to be okay and that Wilds will one day be hailed as one of the greats. Like I said, I prefer the old style of Monster Hunter, but even when I go back to those old games, I still find myself missing the newer games as well, because the truth is, each Monster Hunter is just a little different, and that is why Monster Hunter ages like fine wine. Just about every Monster Hunter game is worth revisiting in some capacity. They each offer something unique, and I believe very strongly that if it was up to the people who actually made the game and not just Capcom as a company or the shareholders, this game would probably still not be released yet. They would still be cooking on it and perfecting it, because if the devs really wanted to just shit out this game for a quick cash grab, why would they waste their time making an animation for this fucking pigeon to regurgitate Jiminy the cricket to feed its newborn children, knowing that almost nobody would actually see that shit in the game? Well, here it is. You're welcome.